Alright, this is going to be my little Warframe hot take. I don't know how far this is going to get. I don't know how well received this is going to be taken. But personally, I think bane mods are pointless. And I'm going to defend this. So, this is my build for the Navaruk. This is not min-max. This is not probably the best out there. It gets me through Steel Path. It's fine. But it's not what I would say is perfect. Now here are the Bane mods. And there's also the Prime Bane mods. Now here's the thing. You've got, actually I thought it was 6 slots. You got 8 slots. Let's assume you could have one mod that puts these well above 100%. Now I have 100%, 125% crit because I have point strike, vital. Actually, no. Where the hell is the other one? I don't know how I have 125% with just, maybe it's just because it's 150. But anyways, point strike, I guess, puts me up to 125. I've got status chance. I've got more status chance. That puts me up to 120. I'm pretty good. Let's assume there's one mod that will get you well over for each and every one. That's 3 mods right then and there. You only have 5 left. What else could you put in? Damage is always good. Multi-shot is always good. So there's 2 mods. So now you're at 3 left. What else could you put? You could put charge time, fire, prime shred, fire rate. That means that you're pumping out more shots, or in this case, more bows per second, and you're doing more damage in the process. So now you have 2 slots left. You're going to want, a status effect. So I'm using thermite rounds, but I mean, pick your status effect. So now you only have 1. You only have 1 left. Now I'm using 2, but realistically speaking, I could add malignant force to create gas. There's a whole bunch of different ones I could do. I didn't even add rifle aptitude, which would give me even more status chance. Now, of course, for me, it wouldn't even work. It's not necessarily that it wouldn't work. It's just there's no purpose. I only have 3 status effects, and as you can see, heat is at 72%. That is what I'm mainly focusing on, so I'm fine. But I also have the benefit of having an infinite magazine. So you only had 1 slot left. But let's say you have a low magazine. Now you need to put a magazine in there so that you can at least fire off more rounds before you have to reload. There you go. You tanked. You've got nothing. What benefit is a Bane mod going to give you? 1.3 times the damage. Okay, I could just add more damage to make up the difference. And even in this case where Kuva damage, Kuva Grineer damage is half. I can hit 5 million on a good crit with this. You know, if I get a perfect shot, I'm doing 5.3 times the damage. I've hit 5 mil. It's a little over 5 mil is what it was. But at what point do I need more damage to a specific faction? And even then, let's say you're going through the star chart. So you've got Grineer, you've got Infested, you've got Corpus, you've got Grineer, you've got Infested in Mars, I believe it's all Grineer. Oh no, it's all Grineer in Mars. I thought it was Infested. It's probably... Nope, it's all Grineer. Okay, I was wrong. Grineer in Mars, Deimos is Infested, Jupiter is Corpus. You're going to be having to switch out that particular mod every time you get to a new planet, unless you're going from Earth to Mars. It's like, why bother? Why bother do that? Maybe if they had a mod that was for all of them, a bane of all, mod type thing. I don't know. That to me would be fine. Sure, put it in there. But if you're doing millions of damage, you're two-shotting most enemies at best, handful of shots at worst. Like if you're deep into the Steel Path, maybe you'll have to hit them a few times. In my case, I use, I'm pumping up status effects and then bouncing off with galvanized aptitude for 40% damage per status type. That's what I'm working with, and I do pretty fine. But if you're just working off of crit, maybe you'll have to, hit them a few extra times. It just doesn't seem reasonable for me to bother with Bane mods. They are literally, at least in my opinion, the most useless mod here. I don't see a single reason to use it unless you just want to say screw you to a very specific group, a very specific faction. There's no reason. It's just I can't think of a single reason why you would want to use it. In any case that you could use it, you could do more elsewhere. More damage, more status, more critical, more critical damage. I don't know how many critical damage mods there are, because I only have Vital Sense. Maybe if there's another one that won't be a conflict with Vital Sense, maybe you can add another critical damage. But it's like in any instance that I can think of, there's no reason that you wouldn't want to just do anything else. Like, feel free to correct me in the comments and let me know if I'm wrong. Let me know, instances where you've needed it. But I just don't see a reason for it. The only reason that I could think to use it is if somehow you had a perfect mod setup that gave you a ton of damage and you somehow had one slot free, then maybe. Maybe. But even still, wouldn't you want to just put in another damage mod and bump up the damage even more? You know, just or add another status effect. Make a combined one. Like in this case, instead of just heat, add viral for gas or add cold for blast. Anything is better than a bane mod. That's my hot take, and until I can be shown evidence, against my opinion, that is worth it to me, then I'm gonna stand by that. I just don't see a reason for it.